Hey, Real Green Ninja here. The video you're about to watch is a supplement to the existing tutorials and help videos already available on the Real Green website. I do take a more casual approach because I'm presenting this information as I would if you called in, although I may have a little fun with it. This video is based upon the information I, as a Real Green technician, would provide using my experience on the help desk. This video was created on my own time to assist with areas of the software that may be waiting for an official help video or tutorial. At the beginning of the training video, I will have the version of the Service Assistant the video was made with. I will also try to be as accurate as possible, but be aware, as Service Assistant updates are released, things may change. I'm using the name Real Green Ninja as not to stand out from the other amazing technicians that I work with. I hope the information in this video helps you, so grab a cup of coffee, and I hope you learn something new. Hey, Real Green Ninja here. Today we're going to talk about setting up mosquito control, so let's begin. When you set up mosquito control, you're pretty much going to be setting up 3 different services. That should pretty much cover most situations. We're going to go to data, product parameters, and then services program specials. Now, if you offer other pest control type services, and maybe if you do programs or whatever, then you can worry about like program job type. But if you're doing just strictly mosquito control, you don't have to worry about setting up another type or whatever. Alright, so we're going to go to the Services tab. I'm going to expand that out a little bit, and we're going to hit New. Now, the first service that you're going to set up is your one-shot. Alright, so it might be, you might call it special event spraying, you might call it single spray, or whatever. Again, it's up to you to decide what you want to call it. But I'm going to just go out special event spraying. There we go. Oh, I hope if I can actually type it. There we go. I forgot the T there. Alright, so again, special event spraying, and I'm going to give it job special type, job type, and then as far as like letter is concerned, you don't have to worry about it. Now you can put in a hard start date here if you want. Keep in mind though, if you do put that date in, before you do your renewals, you want to make sure to come back and update that date. You can put the date in, but also tell it don't fill in schedule date. But you want to have a schedule date because you're doing mosquito spraying, simply because it's a special job, and when you add a special job, normally it has a schedule date in there. Alright, as far as branches, if you offer multiple services through different branches and stuff, you can indicate whether this is available for the different branches, or if you have different branches, in different locations. That's pretty much what this is for. But most of the time, if you're just like a single person, and you're not part of a franchise or whatever, again, you don't have to worry about setting branches. Down here, you notice the invoice description matches what the regular description is. Again, you can have those different. This description right here is what you're going to see the service has in the software. This description right here is what your customer is going to see on their invoices. Now, under invoice message, again, this is where you put your invoice message, like today we came out and applied such and such, and so on and so forth. Or, have some like, please make sure to keep your pets off the lawn. Again, depending on what you're putting down, you might have different reasons, but I'm just going to go ahead and call it invoice message. Okay, but again, keep in mind, whatever's on this here is what your client's going to see on their invoice itself. Abbreviated invoice message, if you do multiple services on the same visit, it's going to use abbreviated invoice message from this for those services. And when I click off the invoice message screen, you'll see it duplicates it. So if you have a really long invoice message here, you want to make sure that the abbreviated message doesn't get cut off or truncated. So again, I always tell people, when you create something new, add it to an example customer and just preview things to make sure everything looks the way you want. Technician note, this is what your technician is going to see. It might be special instructions. I just cannot type and talk at the same time today. Technician, there we go. It's what your technician is going to see on the technician portion. There's also a little line where you can tell it to include technician initials, and they can initial off, meaning they read it. And again, it could be something like, first, or this is special event spraying. Make sure you let the customer know anything special about it. Again, keeping the pets off the lawn for 24 hours or whatever. As well as, you might put something like, make sure to wear your personal protective equipment. Now down here under the General tab, of course, we're going to make it available, and then we're going to mark it as a special job. We're going to do a separate service for the service call. That's going to be your follow-up one. But like I was saying, as you go through, you definitely want to make sure you mark it as a special. And the other ones you really don't have to worry about too much, unless, of course, you have to do like reporting, then you can indicate the pesticides were used down here. Under pricing, this is where you can price it out. Most people tend to use price tables for their mosquito control. So you just select your price table here, and then you'll have a price table maybe called mosquito control or whatever. I'm just going to use insect control for right now. But again, all these labels are arbitrary. I mean, you can call the price table whatever you want. You can call the service whatever you want. Obviously, you want to make it understandable to your customer, though. Like I said, we're just going to go ahead and select my price table right there. And then, of course, you can even have different price tables for different branches if you've expanded. Under this product usage area, this is where you're going to put in what chemicals you're going to use. Now, I don't have any mosquito control chemicals, or at least I don't think so. I don't do mosquito control. I'm more tech support. But like I said, you can indicate what you're using. So, for example, and I don't even know if this is a legitimate chemical for it or not. Let's say you use a chemical called Drive. You can select that, and then under description, you can also select it. But keep in mind, you only have to select one of these. When you select one of them and click off the drop down, it will fill in the other one for you. As far as rate concerned, this is how many whatever per 1,000 square feet or linear feet or whatever you're doing. So again, if you're using 5 ounces per 1,000 square feet, you can put 5 right there. If you use 10 ounces, you put in 10. And what it's going to do is going to take this rate, multiply it by the square footage or whatever size you're using on the customer screen, and it's going to give you an amount when you go to post-production. You can also set your application method right here as well. Now these products right here, these chemicals and stuff that you're putting on there, you can add to the system under data, product parameters, and then products. Okay, so again, you have like the product categories, subcategories, but right here, the products, this is where you'd add that information as far as, if it has an EPA number and stuff. And again, when you do reporting, it would print out that information. And then there's our application methods. Down here under production entry, this is what you're allowed to enter. This is not what you're required to enter. There is a default under company parameters, general setup, and then miscellaneous. This is, again, a default. You can change that. And then that's why when you open up a job screen or whatever, it's going to have whatever's checkmarked here checkmarked. But like I said, this is what you're allowed to enter. It doesn't hurt anything to leave them checked. If the service is taxable, you want to make sure to add your tax codes, because keep in mind, when you add a job to a customer that you want taxed, the customer themselves have to have the tax code and the job has to have the tax code. This is where you tie it to the job itself. We can hit add all right here. It's going to add every tax code I have in my database. And again, you might only have like 1 or 2, or if it's not taxable, just don't have any tax code selected there. Down here in the lower left-hand corner, this yellow area, the required info, this is what you're required to put in. So, for example, if we turn the job into an active status job, so we sold the job, it'd be required to have a sold date and salesperson. You'll see we choose size and source. Well, this is a job where you actually do it by size, and when we do it by price chart, so we want to make size a required field, so that way, if I forget to put it on the main customer screen, it will remind me. As well as, we have the route is required. Now down here, cancel date and cancel reason. If we cancel them out, we'd have to put that in there. If they reject the estimate, we'd have to put it in there. If you want to keep track of who estimated the service, you can even require it to do estimated by. Don't print in previous invoices not done. We don't have to worry about something like that for a one-shot. Again, this is just saying if we're doing multiple, services in this particular job, don't do the next one unless the last one's either been skipped out or been marked as completed. Automatic renew, again, this is whether or not you plan to renew this particular service the next season. Again, special event spraying, one shot, you probably won't do automatic renew. Auto renew date, again, you don't have to worry about that. Confirmation letter, if you're required to get confirmation from your clients before you go out and perform the service. Again, usually like with one shots, it's pretty much confirmed when they sign up. Again, different laws, different states. Always double check to make sure. And if you need help with how to set up confirmation letters because you're required, give Real Green a call and they can give you a crash course. Available on the internet. If you're using CAW for, your customers be able to log in and do stuff, you can make it available on the internet. You can lock the sold and cancel dates. Very important if you have salespeople and you want to make sure they're not manipulating date information to try to get the largest commission possible. Lock sold and schedule date. This is where you can go through and say, like, okay, no one can change what I have over here, on the individual job customer screen. I don't recommend locking it simply because it gives you more flexibility. But again, if you are worried that you have employees that are moving stuff around, you can lock that stuff. Of course, make sure they don't have permission to come in here and uncheck this, and then turn around and make the changes and stuff like that. And again, as far as employee security and stuff like that, this is a different video. Core versus additional service. Pretty much one company wanted that ability to distinguish a core service versus an additional service, and I've literally seen one report, and I saw it one time. I couldn't even tell you what it is. That actually asked for the difference. Pretty much everyone else, everything's a core. Under billing type, more than likely you're going to do regular invoice. Drop behind the screen here. If you can, let's see here, I don't want to change this and move this around too much. But you have like regular invoice, you have installment, you have statement only, you have credit card, and ACH. For the most part, you're going to do regular invoice because you plan to leave something at the job site, and then they send in the invoice back with their payment. You can also set it to statement only, but like I said, for the most people, are going to be regular invoice. I would definitely not set it to installment, credit card, or ACH, because if you do have people that are set up for credit cards or ACH, that means that if you forget to change it to regular invoice, or forget to change it to statement only, it's going to charge their particular method of payment. And if you're not careful, people could get charged something when they were expecting to, do like a pay-as-you-go. As far as installments concerned, again, especially like a one-shot, you usually don't put a one-shot installment unless it's like really, really expensive. But if you set to installment billing type and then forget to set up the installment, that customer is never going to get charged because of the way installments work. So like I said, pretty much most part, keep it a regular invoice. Again, this is a one-shot, so max per year of 1. We're going to select a special job right here. And then, of course, we'll select our unit of measure right here. Okay, acceptable schedule gates. Again, this is not a repeating special. This is a one-shot, so we don't have to worry. Once you got all your information in there, going to hit save, and now we can add this service to a customer. The next service you're going to create is your actual Mosquito, your regular one, where you're going to go out there maybe once every 12 months or once a year. I'm sorry, not once a year, but once every 2 months, once every 4 months, once every 3 months, once every once a month or whatever. So again, you call it whatever you want, but I'm going to go ahead and call it mosquito spraying. Okay. Here. There we go. And then, of course, we're going to do the special job. And then pretty much everything else is the same. As far as invoice, message, product usage, all the stuff I talked about earlier is the same. Again, I'm going to make sure that the special job is checkmarked. Sometimes you get the little ghost check mark there. Click it a couple times to make sure my yellow field's over there. Now, let me get the price table here. And I always like to double check and click those. Just in case. Okay, so over here in the yellow area, the only thing that's really going to be different, as I hit the rest of these things, is you may set it to automatic renew, which means at the end of the year, when you process renewals, it'll carry it over from this year to the next year, as well as your max per year is going to change. Now, you could go through and have like a quarterly mosquito spraying, a bi-monthly mosquito spraying, a monthly mosquito spraying, if you really want to, but you could also just have it one service, and then you can adjust how many times you plan to go out and do the visits. And again, I'll show you that when we add it to a customer real quick in a little bit. Like I was saying, if you want to distinguish between a quarterly customer and stuff like that, most people tend to use flag codes, but again, you can go through and actually have different services. There's no limit, really, as far as I know, to how many services you can have. Now, by default, again, if this is going to be a monthly spraying, we're going to come over here and we're going to change that to every 30 days, and we're going to select at least one of these checkboxes, and again, we can always go through and change it if we need to. Now, just like with the start date, you can put an end on date, which means it's not going to schedule past that particular date. So if a customer signs up for the service and you build out the schedule and you put an end on date of November 30th, they're never going to have anything. You're not going to schedule anything in December. Keep in mind, though, that the system will only schedule out until December 31st of that service year that you had the job, the max per year that you have set here, or it's going to schedule out till the end on date. So like I said, keep in mind, if you put an end on date, you'll want to make sure to come back before you process renewals and update that. All right. Now, as far as minimum for full, there are some people they say, okay, partial programs versus full, or partial jobs versus full jobs and whatever. Again, you can put that in there, and it means at least this many have to be done for it to be considered full. The only real difference I've seen is when you run reports. Sometimes you can run between a full versus partial. Other times, it's one of those things where it's really up to you if you want to use it. For repeating specials, again, it's up to your personal preference. Now, if you're part of if you're a franchise and part of a large company, then you may want to talk to the home office and double check to see how they prefer things set up. Again, I'm just kind of showing you generics how to set these things up. But once we got our information in there, we can do our taxes, we can do our procs and everything. Again, pretty much everything like I showed you before for messages. Save it, and then we got our second service created. Now we're going to add our last service, and our last service would actually be our follow-ups. Like our service calls, we're going up there and doing a respraying for them just because, for whatever reason we feel it's necessary, but we're not actually charging them for a visit. So you might call like FMS, follow-up mosquito spray, or you might even call like FOL for follow-up. So again, whatever you want to describe it, you can do it. All right, as long as your company understands what it is. Let's see here. Actually, I'm going to do MSC, mosquito service call. There we go. MS. Okay. And then, of course, again, everything else is going to be the same, except for this time, you're going to check mark this service call checkbox down here. All right. So, again, you're going to put that in there. But like I said, as far as everything else, it's just like I talked about. Except also, this is probably going to be a one-shot. So, we're going to do it once per year. Special job, units 1,000 square feet, core, regular invoice. And again, we're not going to renew this one. And I'm going to make size a required field there. And then save. And like I said, pretty much everything's the same. So now we got our 3 services. Okay. So now when you have a customer that you want, what's this? Oh, so now when you have a customer that wants a service, let's say they call up and say, hey, I'm having a party. Could you come out and take care of my lawn or spray my lawn? We can pull up a customer here, hit their add special job, and then we can add our special event spraying. And you'll see, this is my test data, so I have a lot of information in there, from other trainings and stuff like that. So again, there's my special event spraying. There's my, yes, we're going to do it. And again, I'm hoping you've gone through other training and, or watched other videos to see how some of this stuff's done as far as this screen is concerned. Because I do have a video on this job screen right here. Here's our detail, how long we plan to do it. And again, we keep in mind this estimated man hour and the price information is all being pulled off that price chart I created. And again, being a one-shot, we're just going to go ahead and schedule it. But again, you turn around, put a schedule date. Let's say they're having the party on, let's see what today's 6th. Let's say they're having their party on the weekend, and so you're going to come out on the 10th. So we just come over here and then do 7/10. Oops, my help actually, there we go, put the right year in. All right, so again there, and then that's when we plan to come out and visit. Now, of course, because we have required fields, you'll see it puts in my required field. I can go ahead and fill in my required fields there, hit save. Now we can go and do the special event spray for this person. All right. Now, when you go to add an actual, repeating special, when you're going out planning to go out to multiple visits, again, we're going to add a special job, but this time we're just going to pick our straight mosquito spray. There we go. Okay, now you'll notice down here, over here on the right hand side, there's a setup that we had. So if we're doing it monthly, we can leave it where it is and hit update schedule, and you'll see it built it out until the most furthest possible one, where it would be until it hit December 31st of the service year we're looking at. Now, if this is something where you were doing it quarterly, once every 3 months, then we'd come over here and put in 90 days. Max per year of 4. So again, even though we have the 12 in there, we can change it. All right, and then when we hit update schedule, you'll see only 2 get built out. All right, let's say it's bi-monthly. So we're going to do a max per year of 6, and it's every 60 days, and then we hit update schedule, and again, you'll see it's every other month. Now, when you're doing renewals, under tools, process renewals here, you'll see there's an option to build out for repeating. When you renew the service, what it's going to do is it's going to look at these parameters here, and it will build out the schedule when we do those renewals. So even though we have only 3 showing here, because he has 6 up here, when we do renewals, it will build out the 6. And I'll show you that in a moment here. All right. Again, everything else is pretty much the same as any special job. You got your source, billing type, stuff like that. Again, I did a video on the special job screen, as well as hopefully you've already gone through the training to understand, like where to put job notes for technician and how all that stuff works. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and hit save. Again, it's going to ask us for our required fields. I'm going to put in our required field. There we go. Save, and there we go, close. Now, if you want to add it as a service call, what you're going to do is you're going to hit this special job. Let me pick a different customer here. Go back. There we go. If we're going to add a service call, we hit service call here. And you'll notice instead of having a scheduling grid, it actually has this condition grid. And this is where we can go through and put in our condition. Again, conditions can be added under data. I think it's product parameter and then conditions. Okay. And our condition codes right here. So again, you can put your condition codes ahead of time for the reason for the service call. And of course, we go and select that Mosquito service call. And you'll notice only the service calls are showing on that drop down. And again, you set your information, so by and all that stuff like that. And then once you get it in there, hit save. And then, that's a required field. There we go. Hit save. And now we have this service call in there. Okay. Now again, whether or not you want to renew it, you probably won't. Now, if you want to see the scheduling, if you do want to set up, like maybe you do something really weird, like you go out there once every other month, and then you follow it up, in the opposite month, and you may or may not spray, but you want to mark it as a service call, again, you can. But like I said, for the most part, service calls are just follow-ups, like a second spraying for the month that you're not actually charging them for it. All right. But if you want to hide that condition, you can hit that. And you'll see there's our scheduling repeat. But like I said, for the most part, service calls are one-shots. Now, like I mentioned before, when you renew the service, let me go ahead and go back to that first person here. I'm going to do a single renewal. Again, you can do it in mass. You can go ahead and set your renewal service and stuff like that. Again, this isn't a renewal video, but you'll notice that next year we have our 6 built out because, again, that's what we told to renew as, or that's what we had set it for. So even though we have 3 for last year, we have 6 for next year because, again, we built out the repeat. Okay. Now, when you're ready to pull your work for the season, or pull your work for the day, then you go to the invoices screen, and what you're going to do is you're going to check mark all 3 of those services. So I got to find mine. Again, you may not have a whole list like I have right here. Let's see here, mosquito spraying, mosquito service call, and I think the other one was special event spraying. Now, if you do multiple services, okay, you got like a full service company or something like that, and you started doing mosquito spraying, or you also do mosquito spraying, you might actually call this one maybe MSE, mosquito special event, only to make it so all 3 of them are close together and easier to click. All right, now once we select those, we're going to go and do it by schedule date. We're going to select the date range that we want. So, for example, let's say we're pulling for this week. We can go ahead and set it for today till Saturday, and it's going to look for anything that has a schedule date between those 2 dates. Now, again, keep in mind, if you don't have a schedule date, or if it doesn't have a schedule date, or if it's outside the date range, it's not going to pull up. So let's see if ours pull up here. Should have 3 up. Then there's the 3 services. There's our 3 that we just pulled. And again, these are the people that would fall. Now, again, you may not do it for the whole week. You may just do it for the individual day. So again, you're saying, okay, I want to pull my work for this morning, or maybe Sunday night you're pulling it for Monday. Again, you set your date range, hit the get invoices, and again, it's going to show you anything that has that particular date. You can then put them on the map. If you have the mapping assistant or a routing assistant, you can put them on the map and then route them out and everything like you normally would do. And again, that's a different video. And then once you've done that, got them all routed and stuff, then you print out your invoices and so on, and then go out and perform those services. And then posting productions, like posting production on any other type of service, again, different video. But like I said, that's pretty much it. You're pretty much going to have 3 services. You're going to have your special event spraying, which is your one-shot. You're going to have your actual service where you do multiple times, which would be like maybe mosquito spraying. And then you're going to have your service call or follow-up. And again, when you go to do reports, you just select those individual ones to the ones you want to look at. So I hope this video helps, and you guys have yourself a wonderful day.